terms of writing the book. There are some celebrities, and we've mentioned Skip Gates and Meg Ryan, and there are others. Not by any means to pass over Larry.
Yeah, Larry might get a little upset.
That's right.
So far, his attorneys have been very pleasant, so I don't want to do anything if they're listening.
That's right. And they're named and identifiable, but Billionaire Bob and Wall Street Mike and
yes.
Hollywood Birdman, I'm sure there are people on Martha's Vineyard who will read those. They'll laugh when they read that, and they'll identify
they'll
those
know.
guys. What led you to use names in some instances and nicknames in others?
Probably the threat of a lawsuit was the main. I don't have much, but I would like. I'm going to end up like homeless Linda in the car. You had a hit book, but somehow you came out behind.
My guess is that some of them are so closely identified, you haven't escaped the law alive yet.
Yes.
But I must say, when you come down to it, they're a lovable group.
It's lovable. Who is it, really?
Despite the fact that some of them are rich and perhaps snotty millionaires.
Or whatever. My parents, my crotchety old dad turns out to be a hero in this book. My mom, who used to be this hard-assed atheist force of nature, has been replaced, I say, by extraterrestrials with this being that is completely in the moment and just talks about the miracle of life and how lucky we are to be here.
Let me come back. I want to talk to your parents. For those of you just joining us, I'm talking with Paul Samuel Dolman about his book, Hitchhiking with Larry David. And he actually did hitchhike with Larry David. And as you look at that cover, you'll see thumbs up. That's hitchhiking, and it's also the way the world is portrayed here with you. Let me ask you about the way you portray your parents.
Yes.
It's very personal, deeply intimate.
Yes.
Totally revealing. Any reservations about that in the process of writing?
Of course, and that's a brilliant question. When I went into this room to write the book, and I vanished into that room for a couple weeks, and I went there and I had decisions. I had a choice to make. I reached a crossroad very early on. And it was I going to be completely transparent and authentic without hurting anyone? That's why I changed some names, in all honesty. I didn't want to betray any privacy. Some people shared some deep intimacies. But in terms of myself and my life, I thought, you're either all in or you're all out. And whether it's in the book or in my life, I want to be all in. I want to be all in. And I want to be open and have the complete experience. So I revealed as deeply and as honestly and as intimately as I could. But I thought lovingly. And that has been a part of the magic of the book. It's become sort of an unofficial permission slip for people to be authentic and transparent back. The best part of the book is I get letters, emails from people all over the world. A kid in Australia, the book wasn't even out, telling me their story just as intimately, just as authentically, and even more beautifully. And I think for all of us, there are archetypes. We've all struggled with our parents. We've all struggled as parents. We've all struggled with our relationships. And to put it out there so openly and honestly, people could then relate to it.
Well, there's absolutely no doubt, as the story of the hitchhiker unfolds, that a mother's love is obvious and pervasive.
Yes.
Father's love is not that well defined early in the book.
Yes.
Talk about that a little bit.
Beautiful. At first, there's this wall between my father and I take it personally. There's a great Zen story in it about not taking it personally that helps me. But as I move through the book, and I don't want to give too much away, but my father actually picks me up hitchhiking.
He does.
And it's actually the last ride of the summer.
That's right.
It's kind of wild. Who orchestrates these miracles? That's the question I ask you and the reader, and myself every day. Is there a force behind this? But he picks me up. And we drive around for about 30, 40 minutes running errands. And when he drops me off, because I'm living somewhere else at the time, he says, and I said, that was wonderful, thank you. And we share some really deep stuff. He says, you know, I talked to you more in this ride than I ever spent in my entire life with my own father. And he left me with that and an apple, and I walked down to the dock. And how can you not have compassion for someone
now, is that
who's in a place like that?
Is that a commentary on his ability to communicate in love, or is it a commentary on yours?
Yeah, that's a great question. Where does the sunrise start and the night end? You know?
Yes.
Can we say? I guess it's all how you look at it. But he did meet me halfway there. And as you see at the end of the book, we do touch. And there's a great coda to this, and I probably won't sell any of the second follow-up book, but we are on amazing terms, and we've come to an incredible place. And I'll give you the secret. I realized that all the problems we ever have were through my ignorance, and I told him that. And then when you look at someone and you understand their story, and you look at them unconditionally and unconditionally loving and with great compassion, there is a magic that they sense and they feel, and you allow them that. And like children in a sandbox, when they bicker or they whine and cry, you come at it with love. And ever since I started doing that to my father, or with my father, he's changed. He is so loving to me. And when this airs, I will probably be in Martha's Vineyard on his invitation. He called me the other day and said, would you come to the vineyard and spend some time with us? So that's a long way from that. So there's a transformation that happens. That's one of the great things I learned in the book. Love, compassion. Some of these words people will probably say, I've heard this somewhere else. It's like, yes, in everything that was ever written that we say we believe in. It works. I would encourage people to try that. Try it for 5 minutes or an hour in a day, and you'll see. So my father has come a long way. But maybe I had to show the leadership, but I had a much more privileged background and a lot more good fortune than he did. He grew up in the Depression. He never really knew his father. His shoes were too small. Man, I've had it made. If you make $5,000 in this world, I went on a website the other day, you're in the top 1% of the world. So from my privileged place, I was born on third base. The last thing I want to do is act like I hit a triple. So what can I do to show how grateful I am that I ended up here?
Well, it may have been a walk and a sacrifice bunt.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
But let's talk in the few minutes we have left about the miracle.
Yeah, everyone wants to know about that one.
She, I think, drops in on us and drops out on us and then drops in on us. But
yes,
talk about the miracle and how you were able to write about that, given the pain, the emotional pain that the relationship had caused.
You ask great questions, and that's the reason you've been on the air forever. I feel it in my heart now when you ask that question. There's that twang. And in our life, we still drop in and out on each other. We had a magical meeting in Del Mar, California, where we crossed, and she was supposed to leave the next day. I was there for 3 days. I spent the day before with the author, Dick Supkin. She was reading his book on the plane. We ended up spending the next 4 years together, predominantly. And we share this great soul connection, which, again, these are the mysteries, you know? And we have this ineffable bond, this amazing connection. But we also have a thing where we can't seem to make the day-to-day work. And it's neither one's fault or the other. And it's like that old Scottish song, you take the high road, I'll take the low road, and I'll be in Loch Lomond before you, you know? And I feel like we do this, we come back and forth, but the love is always there. And so right now we're in one of those pauses, but yet the love is there. And ironically, when we're apart, I feel the love more purely, more acutely. And I have learned to surrender to the process.
You know, if you look at the cover of the book and read some of the promotion about the book, you think it's a book of humor. And you look at thumbs up on that cover and you think this is going to be a hoot. Well, it is. Yes. But in the process of laughing, and writing humor is tough. Believe me, I know.
Yeah, I know.
Writing humor is tough, and you do it so well.
Thank you,
But
Johnny.
in the process of letting us laugh, you also you bring us close to tears. I think that it's a book, and I was very touched at a half dozen places along the way by just an intimate exchange with, well, the woman who lives in our car, or Skip Gates, or with billionaire Bob. I mean, you know, there's a meaningful moment that goes beyond the laughter and the good humor with which you take on it as you write the book. Part of what writing is about is the attitude of the author.
Yes.
And what your mindset is, and a fix you get on a story. And have to ask you, have about a minute left. Time flies by.
It does.
But I have to ask you, having done it so successfully, so well, you're going to do it again.
Well, we got to use you in the commercial, whenever that is. That's the most beautiful praise. I almost feel like I don't want to say anything. I'll just let you keep talking. It'll be just John's word on my words. That's going to be the sequel. I have a second book outlined, and thank you for that. I feel like the book represents life. It is filled with laughter and tears, and my story is ongoing, as everyone's, yours, and I hope that I get the opportunity to do it again. They're talking about making a movie out of this one. We'll see. And life writes itself. And I had several people say I laughed on the same page as I cried. I just was myself. I was real. And this beautiful thing, when we're really our true self, our eternal self, and we allow that to come forth, the beauty is just something spellbinding, and I think it connects to the beauty in people like you and whoever's reading it.
Well, I thank you. We've run out of time. I deeply appreciate you coming. I really enjoyed
Not as much as I do.
the
Thank
interview.
you.
I want to thank all of you for watching. I'm John Seigenthaler for A Word on Words. Keep reading.